The chamber lights flickered, casting long shadows across the polished obsidian floor. High above, the glass ceiling of the Dominion War Tribunal reflected a universe alive with distant stars, their light mingling with the crimson glow of alien torches lining the walls. The air smelled faintly metallic, sharp enough to sting human nostrils. Somewhere deep in the bowels of the council hall, machinery hummed, subtle, omnipresent, like a heartbeat. The aliens were waiting. A congregation of towering armored figures, each one twice as tall as any human, their chitinous limbs clicking and whirring with restrained energy, their eyes multifaceted and glimmering with judgment, shifted slowly over the lone human standing at the center of the room. Calm, unmoving. Captain Elias Varren adjusted the straps of his light combat uniform, sleeves rolled up, hands bare. No weapon lay at his feet. No shield hung from his shoulders. Just the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your place in a world that refuses to acknowledge it. He inhaled slowly, letting the cold, alien-scented air fill his lungs. The council murmured, 1,000 untranslatable frequencies blending into something that felt like disapproval. The Grand Arbiter's voice rolled like distant thunder. Human representative of Earth, you stand before the might of the Dominion's elite. You may arm yourself. Elias smiled faintly, the sort of smile that suggested he knew something the rest of the universe did not. We don't take prisoners, he said. Neither do we. A ripple passed through the alien ranks, a mixture of shock, amusement, and curiosity. Some of them whispered in rapid clicks, others flexed limbs in restrained aggression. But Elias did not move. He only let his gaze sweep across the room, calm and deliberate, noting patterns in stances, the spacing of ranks, the unspoken hierarchy. The first demonstration of alien superiority came swiftly. Commander Vrax, a towering brute with ebony exoskeletons and serrated forearms, stepped forward. His presence alone distorted the air, a gravitational impression of power. He flexed, claws scraping the floor in a metallic hiss that echoed across the hall. The human before him? Barely a fraction of his size. Do you understand the futility of this exercise, human? Vrax's voice boomed, layered with resonances no human ear could truly parse. You face centuries of perfected combat instincts. Your species is primitive, Elias shrugged, voice calm, measured. I understand you're slow to adapt. The council flinched at the words. No human had ever dared speak this way before an official tribunal. The air tensed. Alien eyes narrowed, mandibles clicking in irritation. Vrax lunged, his motion a blur of chitin and kinetic energy. Elias barely shifted, letting the first strike pass. A controlled, calculated misstep. The alien's claws tore grooves into the floor, splintering the stone like it were paper. But Elias's eyes were steady, tracking, predicting. When Vrax tried to spin for a second strike, Elias sidestepped with minimal effort, his footwork precise enough to make the attack glance harmlessly past him. A hush fell over the council chambers. Whispers turned to stunned murmurs. Impossible, some muttered. He reads patterns too quickly. Elias did not answer. He did not need to. His mind worked in quiet, invisible calculations, anticipating the alien's next move, exploiting gaps in timing that no one else could see. With a single motion, he twisted under a swipe, tripping Vrax forward. The impact reverberated through the chamber. The giant staggered but did not fall. Elias remained perfectly upright, dusting his sleeve, as if the entire display had been a mere warm-up. "You think speed is strength," he said softly. "You're wrong," the aliens reacted, some with disbelief, others with irritation. Vrax rose, shaking off the impact, claws raised again. Elias met him, gaze steady, shoulders squared, and said, "You're strong. I'll give you that. But strength without understanding is just noise." The turning point came not with violence but with ingenuity. When the council expected a direct assault, Elias drew on instinct and human adaptability. He used the terrain of the chamber, the reflections of the glass ceiling, and the shadows cast by the torches to misdirect, to lure, to manipulate the battlefield. One alien struck, and the floor beneath it shifted subtly. A pressure plate that triggered a cascade of defensive mechanisms Elias had subtly activated during his observations. Vrax stumbled. Another alien, a lithe female warrior with translucent wings and eyes like molten silver, leaped forward to assist, only to find herself misaligned with her own backup. The human moved through the chaos with serene focus, predicting, adjusting, teaching in motion. By the time the council realized the shift, Elias was already in the center, standing before the Grand Arbiter. "You rely on centuries of tradition," he said quietly. "We rely on each other, on adaptability, on survival." A silence heavier than gravity filled the chamber. Alien pride faltered. Curiosity replaced derision. Even Vrax's mandibles, now trembling slightly, suggested hesitation, a subtle acknowledgement that something fundamental about these humans had escaped them for eons. The climax arrived, not with the fall of a single warrior, but with a philosophical understanding. Elias extended his hand to Vrax, not in surrender, not in aggression, but in a gesture of respect. "We don't conquer worlds," he said. "We survive them. And in surviving, we learn." The alien hesitated, massive claws hovering, then slowly, almost reluctantly, returned the gesture. Across the room, the council watched, a mixture of awe and disbelief settling like dust. Elias stepped back, dusting off his uniform once more, his voice calm but resolute. "That's what being human means." When he left the tribunal, the aliens whispered among themselves. They debated, argued, and theorized, but one truth had taken root. Humanity was unpredictable, clever, and enduring in ways no technology or strength could fully measure. Outside, in the orbiting transport bays, humans boarded shuttles. Machines hummed. Lights flickered. And across the stars, a single human looked up at the alien fleet, smiled faintly, and whispered, "Try us again." The Dominion would remember this day, not as a loss, not as a victory, but as the awakening of an idea that no armor, no exoskeleton, no technological might could suppress. That the true power of humanity lies not in weapons, but in wit, perspective, and the quiet, relentless will to survive. And somewhere deep in the council archives, a note was filed. Encounter with human intelligence, extreme adaptability observed. Future engagements require caution. Elias, returning to his ship, sipped the warm liquid from a small metal flask. Steam curled upward like a whisper. He smiled faintly, letting the quiet hum of his engines blend with the cosmos. "Neither do we," he said, looking toward a sunrise that no alien had yet seen. Ending line, That's what being human means.